That's the biggest thing that experiencers like me need to remember is that you're not alone.
So, what do you think? Are aliens real? Our special guest today doesn't just think they are real, she knows they are real because of her life experience. So, Natalie Hill says she is a lifelong experiencer and abductee with over 19 years of encounters. She has been involved with ongoing conscious contact with non human intelligence, or I guess you could say aliens. She's been taken aboard craft and she is here to tell us all about it. And the timing couldn't be better with the premiere of Steven Spielberg's Disclosure Day and the release of certain unclassified or declassified documents. The world could not be more curious. We want to hear your story, Natalie, and we welcome you in. Thank you for joining us.
And thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure to share. Anytime I get on these podcast interviews, I just love sharing the stories because disclosure, in my opinion, is coming from the people, not the government. But
Yes.
my story began a long, long time ago, actually. About when I was 2 years old, I was taken onto the ship and they just poured information into my body and my mind. And they said that they are very thankful for me for coming here to help the planet. But let's talk about this experience here now that you've got this picture up. So, this experience here happened on May 14th. So, what had happened is before I went to bed, I asked them, I said, "Can you take me, please? Please take me," because I was having a lot of mental stress and I was very tired and I was experiencing burnout. So I went to bed and I woke up like nothing had happened. But as I was waking up, I started remembering bits and pieces of some stuff that had happened. I felt like something definitely happened. So I went to the kitchen and I made my breakfast. And then I told my girlfriend, I said, "I think I was taken last night." And then she says, "I think you were too, because look at your back." Like the marks on my back were there. And I had these same marks 2 years ago, but we'll get into that here in a minute. But the marks didn't burn or sting or anything. That one there is a small grid pattern that was on the left side of my back. And the other one was a larger grid pattern on the right side of my back. But this is called the red grid mark phenomenon. But let me get into the experience. So I went to work and I was having more and more flashbacks come back. And then I had to go home about half the day. I couldn't function because I was just like, it felt like my body had literally been through something, and specifically my brain. So I went home, I took 2 hour nap. And then about a week later, I did a regression and I recovered almost everything from that experience. And just let me tell you, it's absolutely wild sounding. So just buckle up. So,
Okay. Okay.
yeah.
I want you to finish this story, but then I need some backstory about what did the ship look like? How old were you when the first experience happened? You said this happened in May. Was it this year or was it years ago? But go on and continue. I buckled my seatbelt. I'm ready for more.
So this particular experience, before I went to bed, it was May 13th this year. And then I woke up on May 14th with the marks on my back. And so I did the regression. So this is how it starts. I found myself laying in an organic room, like the whole everywhere is organic. It's like black and green and just brown and this it looks organic and wet. The walls are just moisty. And I'm laying there on a wet, moisty table. And um I can sense that there were grays behind me. I can always sense when they're nearby when they take me. And they had these green rods in my brain at certain bisymmetrical locations here and here and here and here. And as they were holding them in my brain, it felt like, um, about the size of a butter knife, and it didn't hurt or anything, it just felt really strange and uncomfortable, like it made my brain feel really fuzzy. But anyway, I was laying there, and while they were doing the procedure, this, cat-like woman come around my left side, and she looks down at me, and she fixates her eyes on my eyes, and I'm just staring at her, and then she begins to explain telepathically that they're introducing me to an accelerated education program, and then she begins to download information into my brain about, like, fixing the timeline, and There was, geometrical symbols and, like, it was wild stuff. And then she showed me a vision of thousands of flying saucers in the sky, and she said, "We're gonna you're gonna help fix the timelines." And I didn't understand what that meant. So, about when she got done talking, they got done with the procedure, they pulled the green rods out of my brain. I'm just laying there in, like, a daze, and I sit up, I break her gaze, and I sit up, and I slip off the table, like, I just kind of slip off the table, and I'm stumbling down the hall. There's a hall in front of me to the right, and I start stumbling down the hall, looking in other rooms, and there are literally other people laying on other tables like I was laying on, and they were doing procedures to them, nothing nefarious at all. And about when I got to the end of the hall, about 30 to 40 feet away, there was a big black mantis thing standing there, and I locked my gaze onto his eyes, and I couldn't look away. And he kept making me more and more sleepy, like, really, really sleepy. And then I hit the ground, and about that time, a different ET scooped me up. All I remember is he had a big red nose and, big, fish eyes. But he scooped me up, and then I passed out, and that was the end of that experience. And then following that experience,
Natalie,
I had
I'm gonna stop you here, 'cause, we have so much to talk about. Can I go back to this experience? So you're done with
yes,
that story.
mhm.
Were you scared? Were you cold? Did you have clothes on? Can you tell I know you said it was a wet environment. Um,
So, yeah, the thing is I usually just sleep in my underwear. So,
okay.
I didn't have a shirt on, it was a little chilly, actually, it was a little chilly, and the whole environment just felt organic and alive, and I wasn't scared at all. Usually when I'm up there, I'm very relaxed, they keep me very calm. That, female being with the red poofy hair, I met her back in 2024 as well, but, they always keep me pretty calm.
Now, can you take me back to where when this first started? So you're on a ship. So
Mhm.
this was a familiar feeling to you. You'd been there before. How many years ago did that start, and what was your initial experience like? Was that frightening and confusing? Can you take me back to that just briefly?
Yes, so it's a little confusing sometimes when you talk about when did it begin when it comes to experiencers because sometimes we're taken when we're younger and we don't remember, but they start allowing us to remember when they start taking us at a certain point in our life, and that's what happened to me. I remember my first experience of knowing what happened when I woke up was in 2024, January 6th, and that was when they took me out of body. And I was literally, like, pulled out of my body onto the ship, and they were doing evaluations on me, like a medical evaluation on my spiritual energy or something. It was really weird. And then they gave me a psychological evaluation to see if I was okay to continue with my mission here on Earth to help create the United Experiencers Initiative, which we'll get into that here in more in a bit.
I mean, this is really heavy and mind-blowing. I don't know how many people could really begin to process this. Why you? Why did this happen to you?
Well, the thing is, so actually, agreed to certain lifetimes, and they agreed to help with certain projects. So the ETs, the non-human intelligences, actually work with souls that are at certain frequency levels that come down to the planet to help different civilizations. So I actually agreed to this before I came here, but it took me a long time to remember that. But I remember growing up as a young child, looking up to the sky. Knowing that there was more than me and looking for UFOs, not even knowing and understanding what UFOs were. I was just like, waiting for them to come back, it felt like, and it just now it all makes sense to me. Everything just started falling in line about 2.5 years ago when I became spiritual and started meditating, they contacted me through dreams, and then ever since then, my whole life has just been completely changed, and I feel more loving, I feel more humble, I just wanna help people, I am in service to others, and that's just I eat and breathe and sleep service to others now.
Well, that is beautiful. We're gonna take a quick break. We wanna hear your second story, then we're gonna talk about Disclosure Day and your nonprofit. So quick break, and we'll be back when We Are Not Alone here at Queen City News Plus continues right after Welcome back, everyone, to this edition of We Are Not Alone. May K. Beeler here with Queen City News Plus. Special guest today, Natalie Hill. She is an experiencer, an abductee, a contact. She's had contact with aliens, UFOs, UAPs for decades, and she's here telling us about her experience. Natalie, so you just told us about a time you were on a ship and it was cold and wet, and they were giving you information. Tell us about another encounter that you have had that perhaps we can try to understand.
Okay, so this one happened in 2024, June 6th. And what had happened is I went to the dentist around May 24th and they gave me anesthesia. And my brain was acting really funny. About 2 weeks afterwards, I was still feeling really groggy, really tired about midday. So I was in contact with what people call the Federation at this time. And I asked them to take me, just like the other experience. And I asked them to take me. And then I went to sleep and woke up like nothing has happened again, right? And then I had the marks. This is the first time I had the marks on my back. I had two red diamond grid patterns on my back on the left and the right side. Again, this is called the red grid mark phenomenon. Everyone should look it up. It's about to hit the mainstream news and it's going to be the wildest thing. Um, there are thousands of people with these marks and some people associated with abductions, but continuing. So I felt amazing when I woke up. They literally cleared the anesthesia effects on my brain, completely gone. I felt amazing, like I could run a marathon. So that night, when I went home, and the marks didn't hurt at all. But when I went home and I asked them before I went to bed, I said, "Can you show me what happened, please? I need to know what happened." So I went to sleep, and it was literally like I was on the ship. Like I went to sleep, and then boom, I was on the ship. I was laying on a white table in a white room, so calm, this so beautiful energy around me, and I could feel that I had a tube in my right nostril and my right ear. And I tried to look to my left and right, but I couldn't. I felt a little restricted. I think there were grays on my right and left side because they usually don't let me look at them for some reason. But I looked down at the end of the table and I saw 4 or 5 beings standing there, all dressed in blue suits, blonde hair. And I couldn't really make out their faces too much because I think they left my glasses at home because I don't wear my glasses to bed. But they were all standing there at the end of the table, and telepathically in my mind they said, "Shh, it's okay." And then I passed down on the table. It was absolutely just amazing and magical. I love the Pleiadian. Those were the Pleiadians, and I've met them in every single way possible.
So the Palladians obviously are from Pleiades, if I'm saying that right, from that star system, and known to be quite kind of angelic and positive beings. Now, what about the mantis being that you showed us before in the first story? And you mentioned grays.
Yeah.
Who are these beings?
Well, there's many, many different types of grays out there in the universe. A lot of people like to put them in one box, and reptilians and insectoids. All of them have there's different varieties out there, and there's good and bad and everything, but there's mostly good in our galaxy. And the Federation is all of these good ones that have come together to help civilization flourish, and they protect them, and they sometimes they create life and they seed life on planets. But the mantis beings are, geneticists, like, they are master geneticists, and they take part in a lot of different hybrid programs on the Earth and good hybrid programs that involve people like me. And the Greys are kinda like the busybodies, but there's different kinds. Some do the grunt work and some do, like, different research and different things like that. So it varies, but the mantis things love genetics. um
Natalie, did you tell me that maybe you have hybrid children? So have you been impregnated by these other beings that you know of?
So the thing is, I can't have children, so it's a surrogate kind of deal, but I can explain this whole hybrid thing if you'd like. And I love clearing this topic up for a lot of people because a lot of
Yeah.
people get confused. So there's three different hybrids within this hybrid program that I'm about to talk about, and I am a participant in this, and so are other thousands, if not millions, of abductees out there. So in type one, you have the not 95% of the population is type one. Every human on this planet has a small amount of alien DNA by default. Our genome has been messed with and inserted alien DNA from the very beginning. Now, type 2 are the 5% of the population who have a little bit more alien DNA. And let me explain how we got that DNA and why we have that DNA. Well, we got that DNA through 4 generations of DNA insertion. So what the ETs do is they go down and pick a particular person within the type 1 category, and they follow their family line for 4 generations, each time inserting more genetic material into the mother before the baby is born. And by the 4th time, you get someone like me, type 2 hybrid, also known as a star seed. This is why we need these particular bodies, because starseeds are higher dimensional souls, that these bodies are fine-tuned to a high frequency souls, and we carry love, we carry a message of unity in this world. We're born psychic pretty much. Not all of us. A lot of us have medical problems when we're born. A lot of us are ADHD, ADD, nonverbal autistic, and highly functioning autistic. Um, we just have this love in our heart, and the biggest thing about it is that we feel a calling to help humanity. And some of us have that feeling growing up our whole lives, not knowing what it is, and then finally realizing it once we remember our contacts or once they make contact with us, and they help us remember that. There have been episodes of people being on the ships, being told this information. And I got this information independently, and also Dr. Max Rempel also came to the same conclusion, and he's actually doing genetic tests right now, and he's been in the public eye. He's going to try to raise money to do DNA sampling for people like us to see if we can actually pinpoint that genetic code and create a test. Type 3 hybrid is when they take the genetic material from type 2 hybrids like me and to combine it with ET DNA aboard the ship. Type 3 hybrids grow up really fast and they stay around 25 to 30 years old for hundreds of years. But they're very, very telepathic. They only speak telepathically, in fact. Not all of them have big black eyes. Some of them have colored eyes, and they're just very sweet, very gentle. But the only reason that they exist, that they created them, is that one day they will come down and teach humanity the rest of the education, the further education after we are done on this planet. And it'll help you assimilate into the galaxy and be a successful individual within the universe.
Natalie, where do they live?
So the hybrid children live on the ships. It's like a community. So the community raises them. There's no violence, there's no crime or anything. So they're all really safe and they are really advanced at a young age. And I have 10 hybrid children.
Say that again.
I have 10 hybrid children.
And do you get to see them and do you hold them and love them? I mean, is it like
Some of us
a typical
some of
mother
us
would be with a child?
yeah, some of us get to have that experience. I remember through a regression that I got to meet most of them in one session, and I met Nova. I call her Nova, the first one that I ever known to exist. I met her in my room, and in the middle of the night, I had, this feeling someone was holding my hand. I felt fingers clasp my hand. I woke up and I was pretty much paralyzed, but I could look over, I could move my head, and she was standing there, just white hair, big black eyes, very tiny, petite, about 4 feet tall, and she's standing there smiling, and then I start tossing and turning, and she's holding my hand, and she's, like, pulling this negative energy out of me for it felt like trauma from a past life or something. And then I stop and then look at her, and she says, "I'm here to help you, and we're gonna keep helping you." And that was kind of early on when I started having my experiences, but when I woke up, I had this feeling of like, "Oh my god, she's my daughter." And then I came to realize there were other experiencers out there with hybrid children as well. It's just a very broad topic, and I know it's a lot for people to swallow, but reality is a lot stranger than people think.
Okay, that's a good point where we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I want to know, what do your neighbors think? What does your family think about
Yeah,
you?
we'll
Your
come back to
boss.
that.
I want to know all about that. But quick break, and we'll be right back with Natalie when We're Not Alone continues right after this. Welcome back, everyone, to this edition of We're Not Alone. Natalie Hill joins us today. She is an experiencer, decades of experience, and she's telling us about what it's like to go on ships and communicate with non human intelligence. Natalie, does your boss know that you've had these experiences, that you've been on craft? Does your family know, your friends, those closest to you? Do they think you're, excuse me, nuts?
So that's one of the things that experiencers have to go through is the stigma and the backlash of coming out publicly. But yes, My family knows, my friends know all about me. The thing is, I'm very outspoken. I am a public speaker in this matter, and I have no filter. Oh, but when it comes to other experiencers, it's really hard for them to come out because of the stigma, and that's why we aim to dissolve the stigma starting today, every day. So, you know, it's a little hard sometimes, I'm not gonna lie. It feels like I'm alone, but we're not alone. That's the biggest thing that experiencers like me need to remember is that you're not alone.
Wow. Disclosure Day. Right, the big premiere is this week, Steven Spielberg. What do you think about it? And do you think it's going to help educate those of us, or is it just pure science fiction and nothing more than that? What do you think of Disclosure Day?
I think Disclosure Day was planned. I think Steven Spielberg knows something because he's literally had connections with people within the government. And he actually, when he came out with Close Encounters of the Third Kind, he was actually approached by, I believe it was someone in NASA, and they told him not to make the movie, and he did it anyway because he's Steven Spielberg. But I think that he is a big part of Disclosure, and I think this movie is going to cause a lot of people like me to wanna speak out, to speak our truths because it's going to activate us inside like I was activated, and our memories are gonna start coming back because a lot of us don't remember stuff until later because they suppress our memories because we're not supposed to remember stuff until the right time. So I think this movie is a catalyst for a bigger part of disclosure from the people.
Now, you've got a nonprofit that you've started. Tell us about that and why it is important.
Yes, I created the United Experiencers Initiative with the help of extraterrestrials. They literally helped me. It's a whole entire story. Maybe I can come back one day and explain it. But this is the symbol that they gave me for the organization. And what it is, it's a nonprofit to help experiencers, to give them a voice, to give them a platform, to dissolve the stigma, and to educate people about abductees and ETs, all of the above. And we're going to do many, many things. And the biggest thing is the messages that they've given us, which is to love each other, love yourselves, and take care of the planet because the planet is essentially alive. Everything is connected. And it's all about coming together and just uniting and beautiful energy. But full contact, open contact. That's what we're aiming for at the end of this. The more people we can educate, the more people we can have reach out to them with love and unconditional love, the closer we will get to having open contact and humanity joining the rest of the galaxy.
Is open contact coming soon, and should we be afraid?
I do think it's coming soon, but I don't think you should be afraid because I think there's going to be a massive consciousness awakening or like a realization of like, oh, they were here all along. It's like a feeling in your heart. Because anytime that I am in the presence of them, I feel like loved, I feel relaxed and just amazing. So when you become in the presence of these beings, you are going to feel so much love and you're going to be like, oh, they're more akin to angels.
Oh, I love it. I love it. United Experiencers Initiative. We're going to say goodbye to you now, but how can people get in touch with you if they want to learn more?
Yes, go to my website, theuei.org. That's THEUEI.org. You can find my contact information on there in the contacts. And there, we have a July 11th launch coming up, and we're going to have Grant Cameron as the co host. Lots of other speakers are going to be speaking, and we still are gathering more people. So if you want to sign up for that, please sign up for the UEI. You have to be part of the newsletter to get that Zoom invite. So if you want to be in that Zoom room and ask experiencers questions, then check it out.
Okay, closing words from the star people. What would they want us to know to close out this episode?
Life is a gift and don't let it pass you by. Every day is beautiful. Love each other and love yourselves and take care of the planet.
Wow. Okay, it's power. Natalie Hill, thank you so much. Bless you. And thank you for sharing your message. And thanks to all of you. And thanks to all of you for watching and tuning into this edition of We're Not Alone. I'm May K. Beeler. We'll see you next time.
Queen City News Plus. Just search Queen City News on your smart TV's app store.